Hello, I'm Carla. This is Anna. Thank you for joining us today in practice. We will be doing forward bends today. With forward bends, please just remember that you're not bending forward. A forward bend is an extension of the front body and an extension of the spine, and you're trying to come forward with that extension. If you do have any back issues, slip discs, etc., please be very cautious when doing forward bends. As always, this is an Iyengar class, so we will be using some props. Have a strap, have some bricks, shoulder balance foams, or blankets for shoulder balance would be great. We're going to begin the class in Shavasana, doing the 3 arms. So whatever cross of the legs you've got, make sure that the cross is at the shins. You're going to settle the thighs and the knees down. As they ground down, lift up your spine, draw up the sides of the body. With that lift and openness of the chest, bring the hands together in the prayer position. And on an exhalation, let the eyes close. You're taking soft, gentle inhalations and exhalations here. With the eyes closed, you've drawn yourself inward to your body. Stay with your body. Feel your breath in your body. Feel how the body responds to the breath. And with this internal focus, you're just bringing your focus to your mat, leaving the outside world outside. We'll prepare for our practice with the 3 arms. Om. 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 Just be with that quiet stillness for a few moments. On an exhalation, drop your head down. Release your hands into your lap, and when you feel ready, lift up your head slowly. Let your eyes just open and focus. We're coming to Shavasana in the forward bend, just to warm up the spine a little bit. So from here, keeping the buttocks grounded, just walk your hands forward, extend the arms as far forward as you can. If you can reach down with your head and settle your head, then that's wonderful. If it's quite a strain on the neck to have the head on the floor, you can simply take a folded blanket and lifting the head up, placing your forehead on a folded blanket gives you a little bit of softness in the neck and the throat. The hands in this pose are just relaxed. At the same time, you're trying to, as much as you're extending forward, you're trying to keep the buttocks grounded. And then walk your hands back, coming up in the seated position. Lift up tall, extend the sides of the trunk and the spine, keeping the crown of the head over the perineum, so working on that central axis. You're going to take a turn to one side. Whichever side you are turning to, make sure you keep that both legs grounded, and the side that you're coming from, bring that shoulder around. The side that you're turning to, open up the chest. You don't have to turn your neck in the twist, but if it's within your practice to do so, you can turn your head to look over the shoulder. And then coming back to center, you're going to twist to the other side. So spine tall, chest is open. You want to, on an exhalation, you twisting. On an inhalation, you lifting and extending the spine. But also as you exhale, bring that shoulder blade consciously in so that that side of the chest opens. The last thing to turn is the head. Again, if you have no neck injuries and if it's within your practice. You're going to come back to facing forward, and we'll change the cross of the legs. But now if I could ask you just to turn around. Right, so sitting on a blanket, you can face me. You're going to come to Shavasana again with a change in the cross of your legs. So you sit on height so that You have a little bit of elevation of the buttock bones, and you can keep the sacral lift. With the sacral lift, the whole spine can lift, and you can keep that spine nice and tall and alert. There's an openness across the front shoulder, and on an exhalation, you're bringing the shoulder blades into the body to keep an openness in the chest. Coming now to the forward bend. As you come forward, so just take your hands just in front of your shins first, and in this halfway movement, you're drawing the flesh of the buttocks down, you're keeping the outer thighs grounded, and you can see she's put her spine in so that there's this lovely extension in the front body. Now walking the hands forward. You can work it as an active pose where you keep the arms locked, the elbows and the forearms away from the floor. Again, take whatever head support you need. And as much as you're extending forward, there's a natural roundness that occurs in the back. Using active arms, pressing to the hands to get that sensation that the buttocks are grounded. And then pinning the buttocks down, quietening the neck, the throat, the shoulders. Let the elbows just rest on the floor. Forearms are rested so that we're getting that gentle forward bend, but without too much strain at this point. Walking the hands back, coming to the upright. So ideally, when you twist, you turn to the right side first. So inhale, lift up the chest, and as you exhale, the right hand comes behind. You'll see the left hand is great for holding on to this knee as support, where you can really bring this left shoulder in and keep that left side of the chest open. You can also turn the back of the hand against the wall, against your thigh, sorry, and then turning that bicep out, you get more openness in the chest. Once more, you twist on the exhalation, turn your head if you need to, and taking this right hand closer and closer to the left buttock, like Anna's done here, does give you a little bit of a deeper twist. Breathe, little breaths, but you're still breathing, and then release back to center. Stay in this Svanasana position just to realign and extend the sides of the body and the spine. And when you're ready, exhale, turning to the left. So the side you're coming from, the right side, that shoulder blade fits in nicely to open the chest. You keep the thighs grounded. Each inhalation, press into this left hand, lift up the spine. So you use it as scaffolding. Each exhalation, empty out the abdomen, turn a little bit, turn the head in the final pose, turn the back of the hand against the thigh to get that openness in the chest. When you've been there for a few breaths, we'll release and come back to center. Extending the legs out in front of you. Again, you can stay on support, especially if you struggle with forward bends. You can take as much as a whole bolster to sit on. A little blanket like this is only if you do have an established practice, if your forward bends are no concern for you and you have no back issues. So we'll begin this first Dandasana with the feet hip distance apart. In Dandasana, you're extending your hands at your sides, keeping the wrist extended as you press the palm down, same openness in the chest. So this is sometimes called the L sit. You can see it's a lovely L shape. Padangustasana, so your big toe is your Padangusta. Padangustasana is extending yourself forward, reaching for your big toe. You're not coming to a forward bend, you're just reaching forward for the big toe. So coming to Padangustasana now. Here, you'll pull on the toe and lift the breastbone up. You'll see there's a lovely concavity in her back. She really is able to get the sacrum into the body. For those of us who are maybe not as flexible, and when you're coming forward, your back is all rounded, you will take a strap and lift up, and maybe don't go as close to the feet as you wish, and also feet further apart. Here, you're just going to hold the pose, softness in the chest. The ideal is to lift the breastbone. Often we lift the chin when we lift the breastbone, so lift show. Often we really lift the chin and we lift the throat to get there, but soften the throat, lift the chest. Press the thighs down, and against that pressure of the thighs, launch up the sides of the body. On an exhalation, we are coming back to seated in Dandasana. And from this Dandasana position, you can take your feet closer if it's comfortable for you to do so. We're also going to do a twist. So the twist is Pajva Dandasana. As a beginner, keep your hands at your sides. If you have an established practice and you're a little bit more adept, then Urdhva Hastasana is arms over your head. As you exhale, you twist and you lower your arms, but you don't lower your spine. You can immediately take the back of the hand to get an openness in the chest. Find that same action of your twist that you had in Svastikasana. Here, the base is different, and you want to keep the feet together, the legs alert. When you come back out of your twist, you don't necessarily have to lift up your hands. So exhale, release. Come to Dandasana, where you take a moment just to be with your breath, to unwrap the organic body away from the spine. And then the other side, Urdhva Hastasana. Reach up on the inhalation, exhale, go. Use a forceful exhalation to get that lovely twist. The exhalation helps to empty the abdomen, wring out the spine. The inhalation you're using to lift the spine and open the chest. And you want to be here for a few breaths. You want to feel the effects of this twist. You want to get that twist from low down, not just turning the head. Although in the final pose, if you have no neck injuries, you can turn the head. Again, coming back to center, Dandasana. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a Vinyasa now. So coming to Adho Mukha Virasana. So bend your knees, come onto all fours. Big toes are touching. Knees are wide enough so that the inner thigh will support the sides of the body. And as you did in Svastikasana, exhale, move the buttocks back, round the buttocks down, and you're extending the arms forward. If you were going to hold Adho Mukha Virasana, you would absolutely take support where you needed it, under the buttocks, under the forehead, wherever you needed it. Be mindful of your knees in Adho Mukha Virasana. We're coming into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So already alert the arms and come to downward facing dog. Classic pose, the middle fingers do face forward, but you do have to listen to your body. And as a practitioner, you have to know your body's limitations. So, and especially in this online platform, please do take care that you are not straining yourself. If you have a shoulder injury, you're welcome to even turn the fingers out if that helps you to lock your elbows some more and releases the shoulder. So do what feels normal and natural for your body. The classic pose is not for everybody. We're coming to a lunge forward. Again, not everyone can do the lunge, but using your abdomen, using your breath, using momentum, swing that right foot forward in between the two hands. So if you get a little bit stuck, so can you show quickly what to do when you're stuck? Come back to downward dog. If you get a little bit stuck and you only manage to get your foot, say, here, so swing forward. Now all that you do is you take your hand and you help that foot along and bring that foot in between the two thumbs. So, and if that's really not an option, you can just go from the top front of the mat. In this lunge, extend the back leg. Get nice action in this back leg, a nice stretch in that back calf. The back calf and the back quad. Now, keep the hips level, so the root of the right thigh has to move away from you so that the left and right sides of the body are even. You can come up onto your fingertips to give you a little bit of space for your chest and for that length in the spine. And if lunges you really, really struggle with, then absolutely you can have a set of blocks near the front of your mat. From this lunge, we are going to keep that extension of the left leg, slowly take the left knee down to the floor. If you have any issues with the knee pressing on the floor, you're welcome to place a blanket underneath the knee. Right, turning the toes under, this shin becomes an important grounding element of the pose. Keep the buttocks down, and we're going to lift to Anjaneyasana. So lift the chest, lift the arms up overhead. So it's like coming to a deep warrior one position, but this back leg is grounded. Breathe here. You want to keep this lovely length that she's got in the lumbar spine, buttocks are down, and this right abdomen and hip are lifting off that thigh. Beautiful pose to prepare for Virabhadrasana 1, which we're not doing today. Lift your head if you like. Breathe here. Each inhalation, reach up. If you get tired and you still are enjoying the stretch in your legs, take your hands onto your hips. You can still do Anjaneyasana here. If you feel wobbly, you can also take your hands onto the front knee. And then coming down back to the lunge. Now what we're going to do is extend that front leg. So moving the hips back, extend the front leg, extend the front leg. You can keep the foot flat if it's within your capacity to do so. If not, lift onto the heel. What you want to go for is a firmness in this right knee. So really suck up that right knee. And as you suck up the right knee, you want an extension along this whole back thigh. So don't just keep moving the buttock bone back from the center back thigh. Really open up that hamstring. From here, coming back towards the lunge. So bend the right knee coming into the lunge. Turn the left toes under. Place the hands in preparation to swing back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. From Adho Mukha Svanasana, if you need a rest, come to Adho Mukha Virasana. Again, Adho Mukha Virasana, toes together, knees apart, rest. Here, because we're still going to be working, relax the shoulders by keeping the forearms on the floor. When you've had a few restorative recovery breaths here, we're going to repeat that short vinyasa. Right. So, turning the toes under, engaging the arms, come to Adho Mukha Svanasana. In Adho Mukha Svanasana, the spine is long, sides of the body long, the legs are long. You could maybe move your feet slightly back now. Let go of the head. Don't let the head come up. Rather keep that lift of the breastbone. Keep the arms firm. Left leg, swing it forward. If you cannot get it in between the thumbs, help it along. Keep the sacrum descending. Keep this right leg firm. So if you keep the buttocks down, you get a really nice stretch along this front right thigh. And if you keep stretching your heel away, you get a lovely stretch in that right calf. You want the sacrum to be level, so keep moving the root of the left thigh away from the armpit to get length. Keep this thigh strong, strong, strong. When you've been there for a few breaths, getting that lovely stretch in the back leg, maintain that stretch and bring your knee down to the mat. Turn the toes under. Do you need the blanket or are you okay? Okay. So again, remember to take a blanket if you need. Press this shin down. Some people, the foot turns in like a banana. You want to keep this extension to the inner line of the leg. Grounding the shin down, keeping the sacrum low, tailbone tucked in, lift up. You can use your knee for balance. You can keep your hands on your hips or lift your arms to Ardha Uttanasana. Again, there's a depth as you drop into that buttock. There's a deep extension in that right quadricep. Breathe here. Breathe here. The tendency in a lot of the standing poses, especially like Virabhadrasana 1, is to grip the toes. Here, because of the stability of the back leg, see that the heel is grounded, the knee joint is stacked over the ankle joint. Come down whenever you've had enough, hands next to the foot. And now we're moving the buttocks back to extend that front leg. As you extend the front leg, you're working on getting flexibility in that leg. So really open up at the center back hamstring. So you're really stretching that back leg, the back of the front leg rather. Keep the neck soft. But you'll see she's managed to keep the spine quite straight. So the more you can keep the length in the front body and the length in the spine, the more you'll come down with a more anatomically correct forward extension versus bending into your forward bend. Again, that front foot can be flat or the heel lifted. Play around, see what works for you, see what gives you the best effect. And then swinging back to the lunge, turn the back toes under, come to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. In Adho Mukha Svanasana, evenness in the hips, release the sacrum. So even flexible people have to correct. So when you're coming into Adho Mukha Svanasana and you're bringing the spine into the body to open up, if you're super flexible, your front ribs pop forward. So there has to be this control of the front ribs back so that there's an ironing board straight back. Now bend the knees, toes together, knees apart. Adho Mukha Virasana, have a rest. Remember, when you have a rest, rest the elbows also. If this is super uncomfortable for you and you need support underneath the buttocks and the head, then either grab supports to hold it if you really need to rest in this pose, or you just don't hold it as long. Once you've had a rest, up we come. We're coming to stand in Tadasana. Tadasana, your feet are together. You're going to be in the middle of your mat so that you can jump the feet apart. And in Tadasana, we might, in some of the standing poses, use bricks. So we're already going to get bricks here to the right-hand side of our mat. Make sure you don't put them in the way of you jumping. So fingertips to your chest. You'll either step or jump the feet apart. Know your body, know your limitations, go. Step or jump the feet apart. You want enough width so that you want from this wrist bone to the ankle, there needs to be a straight line. So don't be afraid to open up and take some nice space. From here, we're going to turn to Padangustasana, either keeping your arms out if you have the space or taking your hands on your hips. You're going to turn the back foot deeply in, turn that left hip around, turn the front foot. So we are going to the left side first. You can go to the right side first. If you're going right side, this is a nice mirror image for you. The back leg, the hip has to come forward. The front leg, the hip has to go back because you want to square off the hips. The exact same shape you had in the lunge. Feel a lovely extension in the back leg. And you want to try and lift the arch of the back foot and keep on the outer edge of the back foot. With the hips turned, get a nice extension in the front body. Alert that front knee. Keep it strong and straight. And come with your hands onto the bricks. Padangustasana is a forward extension. Similar sensation to what you did when you were in the lunge. You're keeping that front leg straight and you extending forward. If you have good flexibility and you are able to keep this lovely stretch in the spine and the front and sides of the body, you can start dropping your bricks down. And if you don't need bricks, you can take your hands to the floor. You can be on fingertips so that there's a lightness in the pose. But if you have the flexibility, the capability, no injuries, to keep the legs strong, to keep the sacrum level, to keep the spine long, by all means, take your hands flat, take your head down, look at the back foot. Or stay in the halfway lift. It's best, no, you can go down. It's best to work on stretching and flexibility to develop into these full poses versus trying to get into them before you're ready. In the final classic pose, the hands move back towards the back foot. Right, when you've been here for a few breaths, especially if you're in the full forward fold, come back to the halfway. In the halfway position, stabilize here. It's very tempting to just step the back foot forward to come into the pose, but keep the legs and the knees strong. Imagine you ripping that mat apart so that there's stability, and with strong legs, with focus on that stability in the base, up you come to standing, turn the feet, come to this position. As a beginner, it is nice to come to Tadasana in between. But if you are not tired and you have an established practice, we'll just come straight to the other side. So when you're ready, from Vinyasa or hands on the hips, turn. You can show the Vinyasa shape. Okay, stabilize the legs, feel confident, get that superhero openness in the chest, hands on your hips now, square off the hips, and with firmness and stability in the legs, with that lovely extension in the front body, you come down. Feel as if you are ripping the mat apart. So you could probably go a little bit wider if you're possible. So just bring this back foot back maybe. Good. So make sure you've got a really nice distance between the two legs. This back leg, you're working and stretching the same way you did when you were in the lunge. The front leg also has to be active. Remember to stretch from the center hamstring to the back of the knee, from the center hamstring to the buttock bones. If you're very tight, you're just feeling like you're lifting your buttock bones and bringing your sacrum in. Work your way down. Work your way down without coming into a rounded back shape. So this is where you have to feel your own body. You have to listen to your own body. If you're really uncertain, have a mirror, have a buddy, or find a class in your area. But in the online platform, please be careful that you're not forcing the forward bend. When you've been down, you can move the hands back. You're still working at keeping the tallness of that front leg so that the hips are level. That back leg, the hip bone in front, has to continuously turn towards the hands. When you've had a few breaths there, walk your hands back. Remember to come through the halfway lift first if you were down all the way. Stabilize the legs, consciously alert the hips to be compact, press the feet into the mat, and up you come. Turn the feet, step or jump the feet together, coming to Tadasana. So in Tadasana, especially when you come out of a pose, there's softness. You're just keeping the shoulders relaxed. You're keeping the legs relaxed. You're feeling the effect of the pose on your body. You're finding that flow of breath again. You're mentally preparing for the next pose. When you're coming into a pose again, this Tadasana at the beginning of the pose is a call to attention. So locking the elbows, extending the arms, firming up the knees, extending the spine, standing tall, fingertips to the chest, and on an inhalation, step or jump the feet apart. Coming to Prasarita Padottanasana, outer edges of the feet stay parallel to the outer edges of the mat. She's got a good lift of the arches. Continue that lift through the inner thigh, suck up the knee. You can bring your hands onto your hips. And in the classic pose, you look up with your chest, with your head to find that extension in the front body. It can make you a little bit dizzy to do that, so you don't have to, but do maintain this length of the front body for as long as you're able. And we're coming to hands on the floor or on the bricks. So hands on the bricks if you need. If you don't need the bricks, you push the bricks away, set them aside, and take your fingertips to the floor. So this is much easier than the full forward bend because the legs are apart. But can you still keep the firmness of the knees and the thighs? We're not in the full pose yet. We're working on getting length in the sides of the body, that lovely extension in the front body. Now, with the sacrum in, keep sucking up the thighs. Keep your hips aligned over your feet. Don't swing the buttocks back or forward. And like you did in Parsvottanasana, find that extension. Take your hands back in line with the feet. Let the head go. You start to bend the elbows. Walk the hands as far back as your hands can go. That's perfect. Bending the elbows. Bring the elbows in line with the shoulders. If you have a really good forward bend, you're trying to bring your body in between the two legs. You're lengthening the side ribs as if somebody's pulling the side ribs down, but keep the lift of the thighs. Don't hold it for too long, especially if you have a back injury. This is a lovely, lovely pose for preparation for Shishasana for beginners. Right, walk your hands back in front, firm knees and thighs, and up we come. It's a good idea to heel toe in. Otherwise, if you're able to, you can jump the feet apart and come back to Tadasana. We're coming to some more standing forward bends now. So Uttanasana is the feet are coming closer than in Prasarita Padottanasana. So you might find it challenging. So do have a set of bricks nearby. For now, you're going to turn. You're going to keep your you can turn whichever way. Keep your feet hip distance apart to start off with. With the feet hip distance apart, the inner line of the feet parallel. Grip up the thighs, lift the chest, same openness, and we're coming to Ardha Uttanasana. So firm legs, keeping the hips stacked over the ankles, come forward, strong legs, holding you, taking your fingertips underneath your shoulders. Again, if you're unable to reach the floor with strong legs, with the sacrum in and the spine long, have some bricks. Uttanasana and these forward bends can be very taxing. They're tiring if you're not used to forward bending, and they can be challenging on the back. So make sure your back is extended, make sure there's space in the spinal column, and go within your capacity. Padangustasana is holding the big toe. So here we're coming from Ardha, the feet stay hip distance apart. You want your middle finger and your index finger together, like we used to play cowboys and Indians as a kid, make a gun. And that index finger and middle finger comes through the inside of the toe. The thumb wraps around the outside of the big toe. And from here, you lift your chest. You lift your chest, you look up. If you're able to go deeper into the pose, you want to lengthen the body along the thigh, close the gap, widen the elbows, and bring your body over your legs. Anna's doing a good job of not throwing the buttocks back, so be aware of that. And when you're down, you can let go your head. If you're not very flexible and holding your toe is not a possibility, you either stay in Ardha Uttanasana or you use a strap that you stand on this loop and you've got two little handles to help you in the pose. Coming up, firm legs, halfway lift. Padangustasana, you're placing the whole hand under the foot so that the toes are coming into the wrist. Again, if you're unable to do Padangustasana at this point, stay with your strap support for Padangustasana or complete your Padangustasana. Elbows out, let the spine become long, come forward. So some people have really lovely fluid forward bends. Some of us struggle. So use your bricks, practice where you're at, and then eventually these deeper forward bends will develop. Coming up and come to standing. So at first, Ardha Uttanasana is done with the feet hip distance apart. Also for menopausal women, for people with back issues, menstruating, feet hip distance apart is better. Padangustasana and Padangustasana also. Once you've been in Tadasana for a little bit, if you're ready to come to the full Uttanasana, you're going to take your feet together. If you're still a beginner, keep your feet apart, work to your bricks. Inhale. You can take your arms up if you like on the inhalation, and exhale, come down. So arms up is a strain for some people, don't force it. When you're ready to go into the full Uttanasana, the hands come back, the head descends. Gulfasana is where you hold onto the ankles. That helps to get you deeper into the pose. Classic Uttanasana is palm at the side. You're going to hold it only as long as you can. It is an intense pose. You want to be there for a few breaths. And then when you're ready, come through the halfway. Straighten the legs. And then with strong legs, up you come. Be in Tadasana. So that's the standing forward bends done. In this Tadasana, just feel your body. Feel how you're feeling. Feel your breath. Be quiet for a few moments. And to release before Shishasana, we're coming to Urdhva Prasarita Padasana, straight up legs against the wall, back flat, so it's not Viparita Karani. Otherwise, we are preparing for Shishasana. So you're going to grab a blanket in preparation for your Shishasana. You'll show the sideways view. I will show Urdhva Prasarita. You're going to come from all fours, move your feet out the way so you get your butt close to the wall. So you're right close. Drop your shoulder close to your knee so that I'm squished against the wall, and my buttock, line yourself up. My buttocks are against the wall. The legs are just rested here. So if you're not a regular practitioner of Shishasana, head balance, or any inversions, the online platform is not the place to begin your forward bends, your inversions. So come and place your blanket. A blanket is nice. It creates some softness for the head. Anna's already got her sleeves rolled up, so it's important to have that touch of the flesh. You want to interlace your fingers right to the webbing. Place the forearms down and keep the elbows in line with the shoulders. So Shishasana, you do a straight up Shishasana to start off with. If you've never done Shishasana in your life and you want to learn to do it, this is where you start. You'll keep your head up, you'll lift your knees to tuck your toes under, and what you're doing is working at keeping the outer elbows in place so that the forearms press down, the shoulders lift up. You're developing strength here. If you have a practice, lengthen the back of the neck, place your head down. The brain just settle, find that sweet spot where your head feels balanced and comfortable. It is critical when going in, coming out, and doing all inversions to keep the shoulders alert. And then when you're ready, up you come into Shishasana. You can use a wall for balance. If you don't have a wall, have a friend. And if you're used to a normal Shishasana practice, absolutely, you're going to hold this to your capacity. You want to open the front groin. Again, she's quite flexible, so she has to continually work on bringing the front ribs back. The buttock flesh gravitates to the floor. That's absolutely normal. You want to grip the buttock flesh and take it up, grip the legs, take the knees, firmness in the knees, take the legs up. So you keep trying to line up, buttocks in, take the thighs back here. Again, if you are in an online practice, it's hard to see your alignment, so have somebody help you. If you are adept and you want to try Ekapada, you keep one leg up to the ceiling or against the wall, and then the other leg comes down, straight line, you don't have to touch the floor. When you lift that leg, lift the hips, lift both legs up, stabilize in Shishasana. Lift the shoulders, press into the forearms. Then the other leg stays up, and with control, you bring the opposite side leg down. When you lift, lift both legs. To come down, you either come down relaxing the legs. So you either come down one leg or two legs, but once you are down, rest your arms, rest your neck, rest your head. Okay, if you've still got your legs up the wall, if you didn't do Shishasana, you can bend your knees and roll out of it to come upright. Okay, we are coming to a few seated forward bends. We're not going to hold them too long. You are welcome to hold them for as long as you like. But again, forward bends can be quite taxing on the back. They're good for flexibility. They're very good for the spine, but you don't want to overdo so that you don't put any strain or undue strain on your back. With forward bends, if you sit on a blanket, it helps you to get that lift of the sacral region. So if you are very flexible and you don't need a blanket, you don't need a blanket, don't take one. But if when you are doing forward bends, you tend to have the spine sagging, the sacrum falling back, then please, even if you're sitting on 17 blankets, sit on height and keep your feet apart. Right, we're starting in Upavishta Konasana. So have a seat here, and we're taking here, and we're taking the legs wide. Upavishta Konasana is pretty similar to what you just did standing, Prasarita Padottanasana, yeah? So Prasarita Padottanasana, you had your legs wide and you extended yourself forward. Upavishta Konasana can be done as a seated pose, as a twist, as a side turning, all sorts of things. But for now, in our keeping with our forward bend theme, we're going to come to the forward bend in Upavishta Konasana. If you want to develop your forward bend, and you know you're not very strong in forward bends, taking some support like a bolster in front of you gives you something to rest on. So come to your forward bend, hands in front to support you is fine, resting on the bolster. You might need a chair in front of you. Bolster might not be an option for you. That is okay. Take however much height you need. Classic Upavishta Konasana, we take the hand and we hold onto the toe like we did for Padangustasana. Index finger and middle finger around the inside, and then the thumb on the outside of the big toe. And again, the buttocks are grounded, so if you've got support, it's really a nice way of keeping the buttocks grounded. You're extending the front body, you're trying to soften the shoulders. If your abdomen reaches the bolster, but your head is dropping down and your neck is aching and you want to be in this pose for a little bit longer, then lifting your head and placing your forehead onto a blanket gives you a little bit of softness in the neck and throat. And do remember to keep the top shoulder relaxed. If holding the toes is uncomfortable, just bring the hands at your sides, especially if you're working. So if you bring your hands at your sides and just rest them alongside the bolster, you're still getting the forward bend extension. Nice, quiet way of doing this pose. Right, walking your hands back. We'll remove these supports. And if you could give us a side view, please. If you need to sit on height, remember you're sitting on height. Also for forward bends, if you're unable to reach your toes, use a strap as we did at the beginning of class. So bringing your feet together, we're coming to sit in Dandasana. Dandasana is like the Tadasana of seated poses. Fingers face forward in Dandasana, legs are firm, spine is long. So, Janu Shishasana, we're going to bend up the right knee. Move that knee back as much as is comfortable for you. So for beginners, it's absolutely fine to keep the foot on the inside of this opposite thigh. Don't let the foot sneak underneath the leg. For beginners, you're moving the knee back, you take as much height as you want, you're keeping the straight leg alert. If you're a little bit more adept, like Anna's done, she's moving the knee quite far back so that the knees are at an obtuse angle. It does mean there's more of a challenge to turn and face that left leg. So exhale, do a little bit of a twist. And now, keeping this right knee back, Janu Shirsha, head of the knee, you're going to move this right side of the body forward and away and extend yourself towards your legs. So this right thigh wraps from inner to outer. This back moves from left to right. The right side has to descend more. Again, as a beginner, stay in the halfway, use your strap. If you're a bit more advanced, you can extend yourself forward, lengthen yourself forward, fold your elbows, let yourself go down. You can see, I'm just going to ask Anna to remove her right hand out the way. Her head is towards her shin bone, not towards her knee. And then up you come through the halfway lift. Extend the leg back to Dandasana. From Dandasana, Janu Shishasana to the left. So all the poses that you do to one side, you do to the other side. Get the legs in position. Already begin to turn the body. Find that length and openness in the front body. Extend forward. So show the halfway to start off with. Extending forward, we lift up. And then as you exhale, you close this left side of the body down. You move the right ribs, the right side of the chest out the way. Relax the shoulders. Yes, the elbows can lift and extend forward. Keep the leg firm, knee firm, opening the back of the hamstring. And again, this left knee has to move back. The left inner thigh rolls from inner to outer, and you draw that left kidney down. Don't turn the body, don't turn the chest. Yes. Then coming through the halfway lift, come to having the hands next to you and extend the leg in Dandasana. Triag Mukha Kapada is not for everybody. If you have any knee injuries whatsoever, please just do Janu Shishasana. Could you move back a little bit? So in Janu Shishasana, if you need support for your knee, listen to your knee. If you need it, take it. We're coming to Triag Mukha Kapada. No, sit where you were. Feet are extended, legs are extended in Dandasana. Triag Mukha Kapada, I'm going to bend my right leg and bring it, so right leg, into Virasana shape. The foot is next to the hip. You'll see the hips have gone a bit wonky here, so you need to either move the flesh of the outer buttock out, the opposite leg out the way, and try and settle this buttock down. And if when you check your thighs, it's still not even, you can either have a small folded blanket, lift up, place that folded blanket just under the buttock so that there's more evenness. If you're even, you're good to go. You'll extend your hands to your foot, come to Urdhva. So not Urdhva means upward, so lift up. Ardha is what I meant to say, halfway. And from this halfway position, exhale, come down. When you come down, that bent leg buttock wants to lift up. What you can do to prevent it is just put your hands alongside your leg and use the hands to help drive the pose. Press into that left hand. See, can you ground the right buttock down? We won't hold it for too long. Extend the inner line of this left leg. Walk your hands back. Come to seated with the right leg extended. Dandasana. And then we bend back the left leg. Again, if your hips are level, you don't need support. Fantastic. If you need support, also great. Take some under the right buttock, extend towards the right leg. Use your strap if you need. When you come to the forward bend, if you know that it throws your hips out, she's fortunate to get her elbows on the floor, but we want the hands on the floor and get that left buttock to descend. Still extending the front body, still extending the right leg, still moving the head towards the shin, not the knee. Walk the hands back. Extend the left leg, Dandasana. Dandasana, as we said, is a good pose to begin all your seated poses. If you are a beginner, you're going to take some height, so sit up. You're going to take height under the buttocks, and you're going to take the feet hip distance apart. So this is the first Dandasana. We're using the feet hip distance apart because we're coming to Padangustasana. Again, Padangusta is your big toe. So reaching for the big toe, reaching the spine up, chest open. Exhale, widen the elbows, and if you're able to, you release down. If this is an impossibility for you, you're working in the halfway position. You're not going to hold these poses for too long, but they are very important quietening poses. I'm going to ask Anna to come up now. If you would like to have some support to rest on, if that's a more quietening pose for you, if that's within your practice a bit more, then make it a bit more of a restorative pose. If, however, you are adept and you'd like to try the full pose, you're going to come up to Dandasana, take only whatever support you need, and for full Paschimottanasana, the feet are together. Again, any contraindications, keep the feet apart. We'll try with the arms up again. So Urdhva Hastasana, find that length. Exhale, fold yourself in half. Fold yourself in half, let your head go. Let the sides of the body extend, back of the leg extending. Just a beautiful, quiet, soft pose here. Obviously, the more height you have under the buttocks, easier the forward fold is going to be. When you're here, listen to your back. Any aches or pains or feeling of strain, absolutely come up. You're going to come up and you're going to come back to Dandasana and just stay in Dandasana for a few breaths. Ardha Uttanasana is our release pose after our forward bends. It's not a very releasing pose. It can be quite challenging. So you're going to slide forward off your blanket. You're welcome to take your hands slightly back so that the fingers just are behind your buttocks. And then when you're ready, we'll show the easier beginner version. So when you're ready, bend your knees, place your feet where your calves were, and you're lifting your buttocks. If you have no injury, you're throwing your head back and you lift the buttocks all the way up. Where's your shoulder stuck? Yeah, there we go. And then when you release, come down. So just feel your shoulders, feel your body. Don't hold it for too long if you can't. It is a challenging pose for a lot of people, despite being recommended as a relief pose. Classic poses with the legs straight. And then up you go. You might want your hands closer or further away from the buttocks. Feel what works for you. When you've held Ardha Uttanasana for a few breaths, you come down and just be in Dandasana, settle in Dandasana. We're ending off our practice with Salamba Sarvangasana. Salamba Sarvangasana is the shoulder balance pose. If you do not do shoulder balance, you're unable to do shoulder balance for whatever reason, you're going to do cross bolsters. Cross bolsters, as the name implies, is two bolsters crossed over one over the other. Many people don't have even one bolster, so I'll show you an alternative to cross bolsters. In Iyengar yoga, we use these foams for shoulder balance. You place 4 foams for shoulder balance, but for cross bolsters, only 2 foams. And then you place your bolster over the foams. You come to sit on the front of that seesaw. Lengthen your spine along the floor. Keep your knees bent until your shoulders are on the floor. Turn your palms to face up. Extend the legs. If it catches your back in any way, come into it again and slide along the bolster to keep the flesh of the back body down, or you can bend your knees a little bit. So forward bends, this is a nicer relaxation and restorative than Ardha Uttanasana, I think. So if you're doing shoulder balance, you're going to set up for shoulder balance. If you're not doing shoulder balance, you're going to be in cross bolsters and you'll be here for a while. So bend your knees, roll onto your side. If cross bolsters is not comfortable for you, if it gets uncomfortable at any point, you are simply going to take your legs up the wall like we did when we were doing Shishasana. You take your 4 shoulder balance foams, You measure up your strap from outer shoulder to outer shoulder so that the strap holds the elbows in place. And then if you've got blankets, it's nice to have a blanket over this whole arrangement to keep the phones together and also to keep a nice slip for your neck. And then another folded blanket for your head. This is just for some softness. Again, if you've never done a shoulder balance in your life, please don't do it now. You'll do legs up the wall. We're coming to shoulder balance. So you're lying down. Your shoulders are on the support. Move a little bit closer to the wall. The neck is on the support for now. You're allowing a little bit of space here for this top shoulder to roll onto. Back of the neck is already long. Earlobes in line with the edge of the support. You can use your hands under your buttocks to help you kick your feet over to Halasana. If you cannot reach the floor, you'll set up so that you put your feet on a wall. Yeah, this is the wall. The buttocks are coming over the shoulders. Then if you're able to reach your feet to the floor for Halasana, you take your feet to the floor in Halasana. You want to keep the sides of the body lifted by lifting the thighs away from the face. And you'll go into it with your strap in your hand so that you know where it is. When you're ready, you place the strap around your hands up to just above the elbow. I like to move the metal bits off my flesh. Hold onto your back. The back you're trying to hold as low as possible, and then you're going to take the legs up. Either two at a time or one at a time is fine. If you have no neck injuries, if you have no blood pressure injuries, if you're not menstruating, then practice Halasana. Try shoulder balance. It is a wonderful, wonderful pose. It's a very, very beneficial pose. In the beginning, your feet might be well over your head and your hands might be holding your bum. And that's okay. Eventually, you will keep adjusting, keep moving the hands as low down on the back as possible. You want to bring the buttocks over the shoulders. So when you're coming into shoulder balance, think of this plumb line that you're trying to create. From the shoulder, the hip bone lines up. Then you have to move the thighs back so that the knee and the ankle line up. A lot of hard work, a lot of lifting, a lot of extending. Keep pressing into the upper arms. That is the foot of this pose. Stretch up. Yes, launch off the upper arms. You want to make sure that the back of the neck stays elongated. Your throat stays soft. You don't turn your head or move your head in a shoulder balance. Shoulder balance stretches the neck. There's a release here. And you only hold it as long as you're comfortable. When you're ready, you can either one leg at a time or two legs come down. Again, shoulder balance is an inversion, so take care, but it is a super, super beneficial pose. If you look at Halasana here, lots of elements of forward bend as well. So remove your strap in Halasana. When you come out, just move your strap aside so you don't roll onto the metal bits. Hold your back to release, roll out of it slowly. Try not to jump up, but slide down so that you put your head on the support. Your shoulders are off it so that you're relaxing the head, the neck, and the throat. If you have done shoulder balance, but you feel that you want a little bit more release after the forward bends and you'd like to try cross bolsters here, pause the video, do the cross bolsters, and we're finishing with Shavasana. So once you've relaxed and released, you're going to roll onto your side. You'll move all your supports out the way. The supports you need for Shavasana are anything to keep you warm if you're in a cold place. If your mat is on tiles, put a blanket underneath so that it's warm. You also would like to have maybe a little bit of softness for your head, especially if when you lie down, your chin is higher than your forehead. You want the back of the neck long, and supporting the head on a nice folded blanket is really comfortable for Shavasana. Make sure the blanket is folded neatly and there's no weird little ridges that are going to annoy you. Start with your knees bent. The head and the neck are supported by the blanket, not the shoulders. With the knees bent, you'll see Anna just adjusted her buttock flesh. The knees are bent, the back waist is long. You really have that opportunity to get the buttock flesh away. Relax the shoulders. Once you feel the abdomen has settled, the neck and throat region are soft, feel whether you need more or less support under the head, and then release and extend the legs. There should be no supports touching you, so you move all your supports out the way. In the classic Shavasana, the heels are together, but take as much space between the feet as you need. You want to roll from the inner thigh to the outer thigh, let the knees come apart, let the feet fall apart. Have as much space as you want between the feet to keep the pelvis and the hip area released. Make sure that you've got that same openness in the upper arm, so you see the palm faces up, bicep rolls out, shoulders are relaxed. Close the eyes. You can close the eyes with a nice big sigh if you wish. If you're in an area that is very lit, you can either have an eye bag handy, or if you wish to have your folded strap over the eyes, just to provide a little bit of quietness and settling for the eyes, then you can do that too. Shavasana is your chance to let go. Use the exhalation. You're not just letting go of the breath, you're letting go of any thoughts, you're letting go of any tension in the body, you're just letting go. You're surrendering to Shavasana. The skin of the face, the skin of the body is soft. The muscles of the face, especially don't furrow the brow, don't tighten the cheeks and the mouth. Soften across that top shoulder. You did a lot of forward bends here. There's an openness and space in the front body. The back body's just settled and released. And just take a few moments in this absolute quiet Shavasana. You want to hold on to this quiet Shavasana state for as long as possible. To come out of it slowly, just let your inhalation become a bit deeper. Each inhalation is a little bit more profound. Bringing that air, that pranic energy consciously into the body. When you feel ready, keeping your elbows rested on the floor, bring your hands anywhere on your trunk, on your torso that's comfortable. With the hands rested on the abdomen, find your breath, feel the flow of the breath beneath the palms. On the next breath in, you can stretch your arms over your head, give your body a long, deep stretch, yawn or sigh the breath out. Then bending your knees, you're going to lazily roll onto your right side. Let your right arm come up so that you can use your right arm like a pillow. Your head is cradled in your right arm. The left side of the body is just settling down, holding you in this quiet Shavasana state for a few more moments. You're ready to come up when the eyes feel ready to open. Pressing your left hand into the floor, you bring your shoulders up first, head up last. Make your way into any comfortable seated position. Close the eyes again. Bring the hands to the chest in the prayer position. Lift up your spine. Open up your chest and breathe into that space. Be with your body, be with your breath. Feel how you're feeling at the end of your practice, physically, mentally, emotionally. With a small smile on your face and a sense of gratitude, just take a few breaths here and be thankful for the health and strength of your body. On the next breath in, let your eyes gently flutter open and focus. Namaste. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next time. Ta-da! You're